Hello my friends, today I will show you how to make your own light box for product photography. We will make this exact box and it only takes a few minutes to put it together and it only takes a couple of materials and less than $20. So let's see how we make this box. The first item we need is some white foam board. Now something like this. I bought this one on Amazon. It came in a pack of 10. I don't know exactly what size it is, but I saw that Office Depot has some that are 20 by 60 inches for $17. One of those boards will make one light box. You can also buy them in smaller sizes from Amazon and then you'll just use more than one. Or you can buy them at your local store like Target, Walmart, Office Depot, any kind of craft store, even the dollar store, they sometimes have them. So you can get them for very, very cheap. Once we get our foam board, we need to cut some squares, something like this. Now this is a 15-inch square, which makes a pretty smallish light box. I did it this way because this is perfect for jewelry photography. But if you're photographing something bigger, then you probably want to go with 20, maybe 25 inches. That would be a really good size for product photography. So you need squares like this. How many squares do you need? You need 5 squares. So this one's for reference, this is 15 inches. So I cut 5 squares that are 15 inches. I did go ahead and cut this prior to filming because I didn't want you to have to watch me for an hour just, cutting little foam boards. So I cut 5 of them. After I cut 5 of these squares, I went ahead and 3 of them, I cut another square inside of it, something like this, like a picture frame, you see? Something like that. I left 2 inches the border, so I measured 2 inches all the way across, like you can see the markings in the corners, and then I cut the inside square and I left the 2 inches on the borders. That is great. So now we have our 2 squares that are just the normal 15 inches squares, and these ones are also 15 inches, but I did cut a square in the middle. Now, if you look closely at my squares, I was not careful when I cut them, so they're a little bit wavy. Also, my corners are not very square, but that's okay. It will do just fine. Great. So now that we have our squares, we need to put some diffusion material. So let me go get my diffusion material. I'll be right back. Now here is my diffusing material. You can use parchment paper, you can use printer paper for diffusing, you can use a white tablecloth, a white bed sheet, a white t-shirt, whatever will allow the light to go through and diffuse the light as well. So in my case, I would have used parchment paper, and the reason why I prefer parchment paper versus printer paper is because parchment paper is more heat resistant. So if you have really hot lights, if you're using table lights and they're very hot, then it's better to have heat-proof material. So use parchment paper. In my case, my parchment paper that I use in the kitchen, it's unbleached, so it's brown. So I didn't have that, so I'm just going to use some photographic diffuser material. This is a Lee 216 white diffusing material. So I'm going to use this instead because I do not have white parchment paper. So now we need to tape our diffusing material to our window frame. So you will take your window frame and then tape the diffusing material just like that. So let's do that. What I chose to use for taping is duct tape, just because I can't find any other tape around the studio here other than duct tape and gaffer tape. And this duct tape, it just so happened that it's white, and I chose this one because, like I said, my cuts were not very straight, so I will have some waviness in there. So there might be some gaps when I put it together. And if I use black tape, then I have that black mark inside. I want everything to stay white. So white duct tape. Now I am going to go ahead and tape my diffusion. Now this is going to be, when you do something on camera that nothing goes right, so that's probably going to happen to me. It's going to be a little bit more complicated than I thought. Let's see. This is probably making a lot of noise on my microphone. I apologize for that, but let's see what we can do. All right, if you have extra, you can roll it over onto the edge. There you go. That's one side. Moving on. Now, after we build this thing, I will show you some tricks on how to use it. And also, I will show you another method, taking photos with something else that is not a light box, that might just be easier and maybe even better, more efficient. But I know a lot of you like to use light boxes, so that's what we're building. They do sell light boxes on Amazon. You can just go and buy one, but I believe they're like 150 bucks. And, you know, we can make one under 20, so why pay $120 when we can make one? All right, so far, things are going smoothly. I'm sure there will be something that doesn't go smoothly, but for now, we're doing great. Not very even. I can patch the corners later. I'll leave it like this for now. Let's do the corners. All right, one is ready. There it goes. This is what it looks like. One panel done. We have two more. I might speed up through this process because I realize it could be extremely boring to see me struggle with duct tape over here. So let me do the rest of them and I will get right back to you. All right, there we go. We have 3 panels now that are with window diffusers. So 1, 2, 3. And then we have our 2 solid panels that we didn't do anything to them. It's just all 15 by 15. If you make yours bigger, go with 20 or 25. Now, I'll give you some other tips about how you can make these things to be even more sturdy if you want. Let's put this box together now. We have our 5 panels. Now, this is the hardest part, putting this thing together. I will start with the base and the back board. So this is going to be like this. And the problem with taping this, you can't just tape them flat like this on your table because then you can't bend them at 90 degrees. So you have to tape them at 90 degrees. So let's do that. What I will do, this is the way I think is the easiest way to do it. Let's see. I'll put a tape just like that, and I'll overhang it on the edge. Something like that. So you see my tape is hanging out of the edge. And now I will put my backboard, make sure it's where you want it, just like that. And then I will lift this tape and make sure I tape it to it. There we go, one board done. Let's keep going. The next board I will do is this side one. So let's see. I'll put the board like this hanging out of the desk. So now I have a flat edge again. I think that's the easiest way to do it. And let's see, I'll put my duct tape over here. It's so sticky. It's hard to work with duct tape. There we go, something like that. We get to cut it. Perfect. And now I need to put this panel. Make sure when you put in your panel that your tape is on the outside, so inside you have a nice clean edge. I can put that down for a second. So let's see. Make sure it's lined up. Oops, I have a little tape sticking inwards. I'm gonna peel it out a little bit. There we go, something like that will do. And now we get to lift that duct tape on the outside. Now, this could have looked a lot more better if I would have taken the time to make better cuts, but I'm not gonna apologize for it. It's good the way it is. Great. So this is what our light box look like. So we have 3 diffusion panels, one on this side, one on this side, and one on the very top. And then we have our solid on the back and the bottom. So let's see, what else do we need? Well, we need a background paper to get that, seamless background. For background paper, you can use pretty much any kind of paper. This is just printing paper. It's a little bit too small for my light box, but I will use it anyway. It comes in white, it comes in colors, any color of the rainbow. Just go to your local craft store and pick up some paper. And make sure your paper that you're using for your background does not have any kind of wrinkles in it. This one has a few wrinkles just because I've been maneuvering here in the studio, but I will tape it to the back of my light box like this. So we have that infinite backdrop with no lines. So I'm just going to use some Scotch tape for this. We don't need anything super fancy. I'm going to take some Scotch tape. You want to use something that is clear or white. You don't want to use like blue tape or something that, has color or is black. So because this paper is pretty small, I didn't tape it all the way to the top. I just taped it halfway through. So that way I have some on the bottom and the back. So now that we have our light box, let's bring in a light and see what it looks like, if it works. So let me go grab a light really quick. Now for the light, I brought in a Godox continuous light, but you can use a strobe, you can use flashlight, you can use any kind of table lamps, you can use whatever you want. Now here is the trick. If you're using table lamps, you might want to light it from both sides. So put one on this side, one on this side, shooting through the diffuser to light evenly your product. I only brought one light here, so because I only brought one light, I am going to use it top down. So I'm going to light it from the top all the way down. Let me go get something to photograph. And now let me turn on the light. That is too powerful, so I am going to dim it. And I don't know if you can see, but there's no shadows. And because I light it from the top, there's really no shadows in my image. And I love lighting my products top down, and you only need a light for that. Now, can we light this with just a flashlight? Let's try it. I'm going to turn off my studio light. I'm going to take it away. And I did bring a flashlight. Let me go find it. All right, so this is pretty light in the studio. Let me turn off the key light as well, and I will show you how it will work with just a flashlight. I'm not sure what the camera is picking up right now, but there's no light in the room, and I'm just using, let me see if I can show you, just a hand flashlight. I use this one when I take my dogs out at night. So nothing fancy, but if I turn on the flashlight and I hold it about, I don't know, 15, 20 inches from the top of the box, I can evenly light this cup with just a normal house flashlight, no fancy light. This is what it will look if I go from the side. And then here is what it looks like if I go from the other side. Now let's turn back the light and I will show you some tricks. Now this light box is great, but what if you want to light your subject from behind? Well, then when you make these back panels, you can make it as a window panel like this, so that way you can shoot through the back as well. What if you want to light your subject from underneath? Then what? Well, if you want to light your subject from underneath, then you can make your bottom panel as a window panel as well. And then you can put this box on a coffee table that has a glass top, and you're shooting from underneath and you're lighting your product from underneath. So now you might ask, Skyler, what is this other thing that you said you're using that might be better than a light box? Because the light box obviously looks very, very handy and very useful, and it works really, really well. Well, I will show you exactly what I am using. So let's put this aside. And this is what it is. It is Savage Translum diffusion material. This is a thin plastic. They have it in 3 weights. They come in heavyweight, medium weight, and lightweight. This is the heavyweight. And this is what I use when I need to do nice gradation, when I photograph bottles like these ones over here. I'll put some on the screen, some of the shots that I do backlit. And I'm using this Translum paper to diffuse the light, to give you that nice gradation, that nice, color backgrounds and all that stuff. So this is what I use. They come in big roll, 53 inches by, I don't know, 30 feet or something. I don't exactly know how long, but they're like big rolls. It will last you forever. And this is just a rough piece that I have laying around the studio. And this is how I use it instead of a light box. Makes a lot of noise, I'm sorry. I will show you exactly how I use it. I have the white paper that we use for the light box. I will put my cup right here onto the paper. And then I will take this piece of Translum plastic and I will just wrap it around just like this. Now, if I want to light it from the top, I will take another piece of Translum and just lay it on top of it. And this creates this cone effect. And this is where I will stick my camera lens. I will probably make it bigger for this. I'll stick my camera lens in here. And that's how I will take the image. If I want to take the image from the top, so I have the white background and everything, then I will completely make a circle, use a little bit of that tape to tape it, and I will shoot downwards from the top. And I can light it from whatever side, and I don't have any kind of, like opaque edges. Everything is just diffusing light and transmits the light very nicely. But for any kind of jewelry or stuff, you just make a little cone like this, and you're photographing from that side, and your light will be even and nice everywhere. And the benefits of using something like this is because it's easy to put away. You can make it on whatever size you need. If you need a shorter one, a taller one, a big one, you can make really big loops, and it just makes it so much easier, so you don't have to do all that work that we just did to create a light box. This works really, really well. You can also make a full loop just like that, tape it, and then cut just a small hole where to stick your camera lens. Or if you're using your phone for product photography, then you need a very tiny hole just to put your camera phone, and then you have really white everywhere. And this is what I've been using instead of light boxes. So let me show you really quickly. If I have this right here, and I take my flashlight, and you see I light it, you can see how the light will just wrap around. And of course, this is just one harsh light, but you can get really good product photos just like this using a light and just some Translum paper. I hope this was helpful and you learned something new. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Skyler Ewing, and I'll see you in my next video.